A number of years ago, while we were involved in Youghal GAA, we discovered that there was a very serious need for winter training facilities. There was a lot of enthusiasm to try and develop our facilities here in Magners Hill, but there wasn't a lot of time. COVID hit, and we were able to actually allocate some of our time and effort to actually creating a committee so to kickstart the new development of this club. We are proud of our past achievements in providing excellent facilities for all the club's teams. However, it is important to us that our playing facilities are on par with the best clubs in the county and country. This will give our adult and underage teams every chance to compete at the highest level. With matches and training suspended during the first COVID lockdown in 2020, we had more time on our hands and we set about formulating the much needed plans. We established the Youghal GAA Facility Development Committee, chaired by Hugh Dorian, with a technical subcommittee led by John O'Sullivan and a fundraising subcommittee led by Ger O'Leary. Once the technical subcommittee got to work, it became evident that, along with an all-weather training pitch, there were other facility development issues impacting the club's team's ability to play and train all year round. The Magners Hill floodlighting needs upgrading, and our main pitch drainage system also needs improvement. The Finance Subcommittee was tasked with the arduous job of raising enough funds to cover the costs of all the work that needs to be completed. The scale and cost of the proposed developments will require a combination of grant aid, sponsorship opportunities, donors, and also general club fundraising events. The Finance Subcommittee set about identifying an initial fundraising event. The objectives we set were to raise funds for the development, but also at the same time to celebrate the achievements and glories of the great Youghal teams of the past. We are commemorating 16 of the greatest days and greatest teams in Youghal GAA history with signed commemorative frames. Each of the frames are signed by those involved in the winning team. The frames will contain authentic jerseys and a backing montage of photographs, newspaper articles, matchday programmes and other mementos of the day. These are collated and printed in a wonderful booklet. All of this has engaged members and past players and has also hopefully promoted our development plans to the wider Youghal GAA circle. The frames and booklets are a unique and wonderful keepsake and hold a special record of that momentous day in the storied history of Youghal GAA. Our plan is to sell these unique frames to businesses who have a close connection to the club, or perhaps to private individuals at home or abroad who may have been involved or had a family member involved in one of those great days. The launch night for our development plans will be held shortly, and this will also formally launch the sale of the commemorative frames. It will provide an opportunity for past players, members and invited guests to view all of the commemorative frames and take a trip down memory lane as we celebrate our greatest teams and relive our glorious championship wins.
He still has a throw at the hand, he's looking for a man inside, he kicks a shot, it's ball in, and he finds Kieran Corbin gives him a pass through, Brendan Corbin in the middle, Brendan flicks it inside to John Paul.
I suppose I've been involved in the club really since I was a kid, playing the game, and at that time we had one pitch, and that was Copper Alley. And I can remember the development of Copper Alley very well. There was a Christian brother in Youghal by the name of Brother Coffey. He dug drains all throughout the field to get the pitch in a better condition. And that was the first time I saw any development of any of our facilities, but it made a vast difference to Copper Alley. And then we had the official opening at that time by the President Duncan Childers, which was a major event for not alone for the club but for the town. We enjoyed it tremendously, and it was a great experience for us to develop us as individuals, to learn to win and to learn to lose, and we often got hammered, but we had great days as well. Won minor and under 21 titles, East Cork titles as it was at the time, and you had players like Noel Gallagher, Johnny Dempsey, who Ken Dempsey's dad was now standing goalkeeper. So there was a lot of leaders in the club that probably inspired the younger generation going forward then as well. And then you had the winning of the intermediate title in '69, and then going on to contest the Senior County Final in '72 with some great players as well and great leaders. I think there was a certain expectancy from my dad that I was going to continue because my dad died when he was 52, sadly. So there was kind of an expectancy that I would carry on the tradition of being involved in the club and in the association. I became president then later on, and after a year of presidency I got back involved in teams again. Jerry Mudham, who was chairman at the time, asked me to take on responsibility for the intermediate holding team. Wasn't something that I had planned. I was planning to take a rest and enjoy life a bit, but we had and I got Peter Cody and Connie Spillane, two people I rate very highly. One is an outstanding coach, Connie Spillane is an outstanding selector, and we worked together for 3 years and we won a county and a Munster title, and I think we were unfortunate not to win All Ireland that year, and we were led by an outstanding captain in Bill Cooper.
We don't know, and it's Youghal, the ball is breaking around. He looks, he's watching it. Only the referee and God knows what's left in this game. The referee is Joe Larkin, and God is God. Youghal have the ball again. It's that man, the substitution. It's who turns one way, turns, and it's over the bar. It's a score right here on O'Mahony.
Yeah, it was a tight game. There was Andrew Curtin and Kieran came on. I think they got 3 points in the last closing stages in a very tight game, which was, I think it finished 10 points to 11.
That's right.
And we were behind all the way through. I don't think we played with much rhythm on the night, whether it was the occasion or what. But Castleines kind of they came out quicker than us, and they were just getting their scores that bit easier. Now I think they were kind of a bit wasteful as well, and we just stayed in the battle. No, I think, we finished strong. I don't know, was it the past experiences of knowing the disappointment of losing one? Castleines were a young team at the time as well. I suppose, just that bit of experience and maybe that bit of hurt in the end kind of just drove us on the last 10 minutes.
Ball is breaking, one last chance. It's won by John Grace, and the referee is blowing the whistle, and the Youghal are the 2013 champions. And I can see Mickey Walsh is crying here. The score here, heart stuff here, heart-stopping stuff, defibrillator stuff. I can see Mickey Walsh, he's doing the haka here. What a man, coming the day, coming the man was Kieran O'Mahony. The substitution, when other players wouldn't have went for it, Kieran O'Mahony, the substitution, he got the ball.
As Bill said, we finished tremendously, and the two subs that came on made a big difference because they give us freshness. And look, that's what it's about. It's about a panel, and it's about commitment. And the following Sunday, it was amazing. We destroyed Bend. It was the best hurling game we played that year.
So we got the news in. I remember when you won, the talk was about, the talk around the town was, Christ, there's a match in London now, and we're all going to, the whole town was going to empty and head over there. Michael O'Leary was going to get a call and all sorts of things.
He got a call, but he didn't do anything for us.
Celebrations are going. They brought on the substitute. The substitute was Kieran O'Mahony, Andrew Curtin, and they all played their part. And what can I say? The 2013 Premier Intermediate Hurling Championship winners are the men from Youghal. And what must we say here? They'll be celebrating in Youghal tonight. They'll be going to Magnus.
Runs inside, kept in play by Bill Cooper. Bill to James O'Mahony, flicks it onto Cooper. Cooper out the other side and takes a shot. Is this good? And it's some score.
I think it's vital to have facilities for particularly underage to utilise every situation we have with regards to training and matches, and we need the basics first, and we need to progress as a club. So it's vital, really.
Yeah, there was a number of options investigated in relation to location of pitches, location of all-weather pitches, and then in terms of upgrading the pitches. So we looked at lands around this club to see if we could find a new piece of land that we could put in an additional pitch. We looked at upgrading Copper Alley. We looked at over by Brunashe to see whether we can do something there. And then we quickly realised that we needed to rationalise everything together in one place in Magnus Hill. And therefore we looked at the options then for upgrading for the various different pitches. So let's start with the plans. The plans is first of all to take the top pitch and to realign that so that we get a full regulation pitch, with an option then of having two juvenile pitches across it. We'll have that fenced off, we'll improve the sod that's up there, and we'll have an enclosure for where the underage managers won't have to pull and drag the goalposts around the place. So it'll be all located in one location. And then on the main pitch, we're looking at upgrading the sod. We're upgrading the drainage, so we'll have main drainage, additional drainage across the pitch with lateral drains draining into that, and then we'll have a better outfall for the water. So in the winter time, we'll get more playing time on the pitch. We're also putting in an irrigation system so that in the summertime it doesn't dry out and that the pitch becomes a real good playing pitch. On the main pitch, we're looking at taking the existing lights that are not applicable for championship hurling, and we're going to move them to the top pitch, and that will be used for training lights. And we're going to put in full upgrade of the lighting systems so that we can play a championship hurling all year long. Together with that, then we're looking at a Sleenash line around the pitch and a running track so that members and the people in the community can use it as a walking route or a running track. It'll cost in around 500,000 euros, all in all, with what we need. That goes for the lighting, moving the existing lighting, upgrading the drainage, nutrition programme, Sleenash line, upgrading the ball alley with lighting. So it's quite a substantial sum, but we'll bite it off in chunks.
What was going to be required was about €500,000 to do the development, and it was very obvious from the beginning that the club we weren't going to be able to raise 500,000 on our own, that we were going to need grant aid. So like any of these big developments, grant aid is the cornerstone. And after that, the club is going to have to do what it needs to do to raise the rest of the money, which is probably around 50%. Our goal here is to raise 50% ourselves, whether that's through general fundraising, sponsorship opportunities, or anything that we can do as a club to generate the funds that are going to be required. The idea for the frames came from the fact what we wanted to do was twofold. One, we wanted to have an initial event that kicked off the fundraising, but at the same time we wanted an event that was going to raise the profile of what we were trying to do, raise the profile of the development plan, raise the profile of the development committee, engage as many of the past players, members, current players, members, engage them in something that was close to their heart. And we just thought the idea of commemorating some of the great days of the past, some of the great wins and the great teams, was something that would be engaging for people. In terms of anybody else doing this, I can't say that I'm aware of anybody else. It was just something that came to us because Youghal has a storied history, and it had teams that won trophies in many different decades, and it was obvious that there was, Frankie Keane had written a book, so there was a lot of good information that we could use, and in many ways we think it's a unique idea. We haven't seen other clubs do it. So when we decided we were going to go about making these frames or commemorating these days, we first of all had to do a poll within the club to decide on the best 16 days. We did that poll, we selected those days. After that, we had to get a number of people together to identify all the players that were on all those different teams. We had to get somebody who was going to collect the signatures from from all the players who played on those teams and the management teams. We had to get jerseys of the day of the team, and some of that was old jerseys that were in the club, and some of that had to be jerseys that we had to get made up. So in terms of putting the frames together, there was a huge amount of work in having to get all the signatures, having to get all the jerseys, having to get all the press clippings and all the photographs for the different 16 teams. There was a lot of people involved in that, so it was a long and time-consuming process. But I think the end product speaks for itself. I think they're absolutely fantastic, what we've ended up with, and I think a lot of people will have a lot of interest in it.
Comes back out towards Mick Welch, and Mick certainly doing a Trojan work there around middle of the field.
In our time, there was no under 11s or under 10s, right? It started under 14.
Yeah.
And that's when we started playing. And there was such a thing at that time as the town leagues. And you would take part in the town leagues. It was the north, south, stars and centre. And that's how we picked it. And that's how we moved on. After that, you would come on and you'd go to the under 16 team. There's no under 15 teams that night. We had a great group of players in the SARS now, over in the SARS. There was 2 of us 19 actually. Morris Conway from Father O'Neill's. No, he was in Youghal for years. Morris was a great player. But Willie Welch got suspended. The semi-final, we played a league game, league semi-final we played, and Welch got suspended. So he wasn't there for the there was only the league. He wasn't there for the championship semi-final. I was on, and when it came to the final, I'd say it was between myself and Morris Conway, and Morris was a back. I was playing at midfield. So Willie Welch came. I was the sub for the county final. I came on the county final, but the reason, like that particular, they were fantastic players, like great players. The main fellas that time, you had Noel Gallagher, you had Paddy Hagerty, Willie Welch, Robbie Sullivan. You know, they were all household names. You know, unfortunately for Youghal in that particular game, it was a desperate day because we didn't know until 12 o'clock whether the county final was going to be played or not. And that time we had no pavilion. No, we started with the outside birthdays, so they were waiting for a phone call to come from the county board to birthdays or John Parker's to say that the county senior hurling final was on. Which to say the Glen were pushing it mad because Youghal were reasonably young at that particular time, you know, and the Glen were mad for it because they were mature players and they wanted to muck and shite, like, you know. They went on anyway, and an awful day, like. I think we were beaten by 9 points in the end, but Youghal were there with 9 minutes to go, like. Well, the Glen were anxious to play, and the game went ahead anyway. And there was a lot of controversy after that about that particular day because a lot of people said the game shouldn't have been played. I don't know, would you remember the old park, no, the Athletic Grounds. The Athletic Grounds was like a vat. It was desperate, swampy and all that, you know. And but as I say, the Glen wanted that game to be played, you know, and they got their way. 1990, I said I called it a day, and I was outside in Copperally one night refereeing a match, and John Parker came out to me and he said, "Shawnee, we're in a desperate state." He said, "We're short one to go to Castlemartyr. They're playing junior hurling," and I went up and I played against Castlemartyr above. And that was the end of it.
Did you finish the match?
I did.
You were sent off.
No, I was not. No.
I think I remember the 1988 one. I think there's a few photographs of there of three of us standing on the wall with flags. With around Shawnee takes it out there every once in a while. There's proof that he won a county. Yeah, that's the one I remember. Like 93, I don't remember Dad. Like I'm kind of Vincey Murray and Mickey Downey would be the ones I'd be remembering out of those. Like out of the 93, but yeah, I'd say 88 I suppose would be the one I'd remember.
My 93 is when we won, isn't it? When the county is Britain, was it? Yeah. My memory of that is I was in the field for all of the games, and I tried to get into the field in Park Ring, and they wouldn't let me in. And I think it was Tucker O'Connell that used to bring me into the field, and for some reason anyway, I wasn't allowed into the field. And I think I spent the first 20 minutes crying because I couldn't get into the field. So I didn't see any of the first half anyway, but I was happy when we.
Have you lost that, or is that still something that you have to do occasionally? Have a little tear.
No, I think that was the last day. I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a building thing, definitely. We always had a decent team, but it was probably when Peter Creeley came in 2010 that it kind of built, because I was only thinking about this the other day. It was 2010 we were semi-final, 2011 final, 2012 semi-final, and then we won in 2013. So it wasn't just we had a good year. Probably Castlelyons was the final. They hadn't done much in the years before that, you know. Theirs was kind of not a bow from the blue, but like we were definitely building. It wasn't just a good year. It was something that was coming with 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it was like when we would have set out our goals at the start of the year, like winning the county final was our goal. Anything short of that was we would have deemed a failure, because as Barry said, we would have got so close for the 2-3 years before that. So yeah, definitely. When we won the county final, it was like a weight off our shoulders. You had the league final the following week against Bandon. We won that comprehensively. Then we had Ardmore, which would be the local rival, so you were kind of buff for that. You didn't want to lose for that because they would have come in and bust loads after that if they won that. Then we had the games against Whitegate, and then when you get to a semi-final, then like the team that we had at that stage, they were very dedicated. Like there was a lot of very, very good hurlers there. So when you get to a semi-final, you can see another final on the horizon, and that's what happened in the Munster Championship. Once we won the first game, lads were training, lads were still dedicated, and we found ourselves in the Munster final then very, very quickly.
When you're playing in the intermediate championship, everyone knows you and everyone knows each other. If you get me, we're meeting each other every single year. But when you went out into a Munster, you didn't know any of them. So
Yes.
like the games were different, you know. Where you were playing against Tracton, for example, and we had a history obviously with Tracton, and you know they knew where our strengths were, so they were marking us. We knew where their strengths were, so we were marking them, and it just caused, I suppose, a very tight game. We went out and played Ardmore, so we knew nothing about Ardmore, Whitegate, we knew nothing about them. So probably there was some of it where the shackles were off and we felt the pressure was off after winning, but also I think the games were different.
Changes.
The teams we were
styles
playing
like
styles
change,
were different. Yeah.
It was coming thick and fast as well. Like even when you think back, I don't even know how many weeks. It felt like we were playing every. It probably was every week, like.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like, oh, we're tired. It's an amazing thing, like, because you don't feel tired. Like we had a great. I remember even we'd win a game. Ardmore came back here. Then we'd go back, train and choose the match again to weekend. It was just. I suppose I didn't even think about it. It was just we're playing another game, and it was enjoyable that way. Like.
Another free to Cloyne and Brendan Ring, trying to take this quick one. He is going to take a quick two. He spots somebody, or Lee Desmond is making the run. He spotted Lee making the run. Oh, great turn by Desmond. Desmond runs right in front of the post and shoots it between the posts. That's a great score by Lee Desmond, and that was a great vision by Brendan Ring.
Would you be nervous for them? It was too close. I'll tell you now, one day I remember I was in the back of the goal with, it was in the semi-final now, and we played Newchestown above in Packy Ring, and I was standing with Bill Cooper's mother behind the goal, and it was touch and go at that stage. It was a draw, I think, that night.
That would have been
2011. That's the story I'm telling you about.
Oh, sorry.
But Damien had his thing, Damien taking a free, and taking half the day to take the free. And the Newchestown crowd were getting a bit anxious, and the next thing you know, and somebody behind me, and he says, "Would you, in the name of hit the ball?" And no, I was only a spectator in 2013.
Yeah. Takes one tackle, two tackles, and he gives the ball out to the wing back behind corner. Strikes a huge high ball in that looks landing inside. Don't look, bats it over in like a flash. Oh, what a goal by Brendan Ring. What a goal. Donald Cusick batted that one out. I could see he was going to be in trouble. He batted it out. And he takes a fast puck out, but the referee says no.
Attack the ball. He's shortened the grip. Plays it down towards Alan Fair O'Connor. O'Connor's on the great battle there at the minute. Martin Wright is picked up by James O'Mahony. His father's the principal in it. James O'Mahony. He strikes the ball and strikes it Haran Crosslawn. He was 45 metres out. He swung there. He turned like he was in the...
I was out in an under-17 football match the other evening in the field, and the under-13s that had won the previous night or two, all of them were out there with their hurleys and poking around, and I think there's a great buzz at underage in the club at the moment about the activity. You see kids walking the streets with hurleys in their hands, and it's absolutely tremendous, and also playing football, it's absolutely brilliant, and that buzz is there, and we must maintain that and bring it through for the future.
What is the difference between a good club player and an inter-county player?
I suppose that's complex enough to say, because I suppose everybody's it depends on the individual, but I do think that preparation is really what probably what the difference between a lot of players. I think anybody, people would say to me, just say for instance Conor Lehane is a great striker of the ball, or Hoggy is a great striker of the ball, or Mark Coleman's touch is brilliant, but it's because they practice so much and they prepare so well, and they're and it's so purposeful as well, not just going up flicking the ball around. It's purposeful practice, over time and consistency with that, and I think but that would be one thing that I think the top players do better than the rest of us. Definitely, I think all the work that's going on now off the field is going to lead into better results on the field. I suppose raising the bar should be across the board, and I think if players and coaches and parents and people in the community see better facilities being put in place for the community, I think that just raises people's standards and people's expectations.
I suppose my take on development is it's the story, and like why would people want to join our club? So it's not like the field is part of it. Obviously, when you win on the field, it brings everyone with you. But there's also, if you go back further, and why would people join your club? Compare, instead of going to the soccer field or at home, playing the PlayStation or going to the rugby, there's a reason as to why people join it. And if your development is really good and you look after your players and you look after parents when they come up and they have the best of facilities, they'll choose this one over. And people maybe from outside of the town who are on the border of another club or this club, of course I would say that they'd pick this one. So for me, development obviously is facilities for players, but it's more than that. I suppose it's a proudness of your club, and it's a proudness of what you have, so I see it deeper than just a facility.
He steadies himself, he looks at the sliotar, he jogs down the knees, he picks the ball, he lifts it off the striker, he strikes it well, and it looks like it's a beauty of a point. The first score of the game, and it's first blood here for Youghal, courtesy of Ivor Brendan Ring.
I often think of the people who started the club in the Imperial Hotel in 1891. If they could come back and see what we have now, I'd say they'd be amazed. And now to go forward again, to add to that, is just, it's a credit to everyone involved in the club.
I often was asked, and I spent a lot of time in clubs when I was president, what makes a club special, or what makes it great. It's the people within it. It's the leaders within the club that drive it, that are welcoming of people, that set standards of good discipline, that set standards that they would expect to behave, how to behave themselves, and encourage young players to play our games. And now the club has decided, and the subcommittee, that they're doing a tremendous job to move it to the next level, and that's important. We can't stand still. The day we stand still, our club will go backwards.